So the demonstrations led to more than 100 arrests in the corporate area, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and St. James. The fire brigade had their hands full. Right?
Because we had some who get, excited, who set fire to things.
At least 3 members of the security forces were shot and injured. Several private and public vehicles were set on fire. It never hit me until when we were driving home now, and I was seeing my father constantly moving roadblocks. And we were on Grandspen Road at the time, right? Joining up to Shortwood Road. Well, we couldn't drive through Grandspen. I mean, we're driving through Shortwood because we can't get through to Grandspen. Grandspen impossible. There were just blocks at every 50 meter.
It's blocked.
I don't know where so much fridge come from.
And stoves, old stove, and bed. And the old time mattress with the spring.
Yeah.
Not the mattress, the bed frame, turn.
The next big moment now that Miss GB told me about, right, is the gas riot of 1999. So let me just paint the setting before you go into it, all right? So GB, the government says that it was to collect $100 million in taxes, right? Targeted taxes. Now, in April 1999, then Prime Minister P.J. Patterson announced that there would have been a 31% increase in gas taxes, right? He says that he has to propose this increase because he wants to make up for the shortfall of some money, right? He says the government argues that the taxes are needed to help 2 million depositors of failed banks. Now, in the 90s, a lot of banks failed and financial institutions failed in Jamaica. FINSAC, CIBC, if you know about any others, please write them down, right? And listen, we're not going to turn this into a political debate because this is for Jamaica, so no political, facts. This is just historical stuff, all right? He also says that 500,000 policyholders in collapsed insurance companies, he's trying to get back money for them, but he said 55,000 pensioners. So this is the justification that he uses for the 31% increase in gas taxes. Now, GB, that's the background. Talk to me now about the gas riots of 1999.
Oh, I really had gotten older. But let me say that many of the persons who got caught up in the roadblocks, I don't like to say riots. I didn't see the riot part of it, but I say there were roadblocks, protesting by blocking roads, had not a clue what was causing it and why.
Them just jumping out.
Some jumped on the bandwagon. We weren't excited with people. We didn't have a problem. That's us. Some joined and some fuss, but we all. It's almost weird. It was a very, very ironic situation that what made us angry brought us together.
Yeah.
I have a friend, she worked at D&J at the time. She drove a Mini. While she couldn't go home, she lived in Ensom City, so she had to leave it at work, and she walked to Ensom City. Lucky her, she was as thin as a pin. However, I was like, you're never afraid. She said there was no fear as you walk, you make friends. That's why I'm saying it's so beautiful, yet bitter.
Because when we come together strong.
We don't know you, but we are going, wait, how far you going? Well, I will catch you home before you. That kind of thing. And she said they walked, people talked. Then people had a little glimmer of what is going on. Because most time people just want to get them pay, change and go to work and whatever. But the story, I shall say the stories, and the old Jamaicans say you mustn't say your liar stories. Some of that came in it. But the truth in stories came out.
Okay.
So everybody had a story well, we get the general idea.
So,
Oh, government want tax.
so let me
But
ask you
that's not too
something.
much, you know?
When you heard about it, were you on your way to work? Were you at work or were you at home?
No, I was going home. Well, I didn't know that they were going to. Let me tell you, it's the most, I hope those people will know. But I tell you, whoever was the organizer, I've never, ever seen anything so well organized.
Man, I'm a black
It
fast.
was quick.
And it was
There
island-wide.
was no cell phone, thank you. There must have been signals. So I left JC, went home.
What time you think?
Maybe about the people started coming for their children early on in the day, but that's cool at chat. So I might have gone home early-ish in the three after 3.
Okay.
I go on, turn on Hope Boulevard, reach home, taxi drop me off, and he's going down
Wait,
to his house.
GB, let me just say this because it's island-wide and I don't want the other parishes to feel left
Yeah,
out,
we just
all right?
talk of what we know.
About in Kingston, but I know that there are many of you who have been in other parishes. Tell us what your experience was in those parishes, because yes, we are recollecting Kingston alone, but write the comments in terms of what those other parishes were going through.
All right.
So GB, I know about the riots from early in the morning.
You know about it?
Yeah, I wasn't taking the news seriously, to be honest with you. But it
You
was...
were a little boy.
No matter with that.
Yes,
no,
you were.
Listen, that's how she stay, right? So I was listening to the 7 o'clock
I
news
didn't
every
hear
morning.
anything.
I'd listen to the 7, because you know say it's traditional, so I have to listen to the 7 o'clock news. So I'm listening to the 7 o'clock news. They are mentioning it from then, right? But
I never knew about it.
I never knew the extent of that riot. Good? I mean, there was another riot which I never knew about in 86. Much about, right?
Yes.
But, I mean, that would have been over a decade. So, it never hit me until when we were driving home now and I was seeing my father constantly moving roadblocks. And we were on Grandspen Road at the time, right? Joining up to Shortwood Road. When we couldn't drive through Grandspen, I mean, we're driving through Shortwood because we can't get through to Grandspen. Grandspen, impossible. There were just blocks at every 50 meter.
It's blocked.
I don't know where so much fridge come from.
And stoves, old stove, and bed. And the old time mattress with the spring.
Yeah.
Not the mattress, the bed frame, turn.
So
it was awesome. But that's why I talk about the plan and it was what the strategizing was good. And to this day, if we ever apply that,
to some
the organizers.
Yeah, to some constructive.
I mean, I said destructive. That's your word. Because good comes out of evil, and good did come. But if we ever have that quality of organization at the top level of this country, talk about paradise, that's what would be on. Yeah?
Would that make sense, right?
Oh, man. When he dropped me off, where was I? Somewhere in Hope View, I think. And by the time he went down to the end of Charlemont, he couldn't pass because that was blocked. So he said he came back. He came back up to me and so I said, I left something in it. He said, don't say block. You hear anything? Some said, no, I'm go deal with food. He said, turn on your radio. And the first thing you hear, how many people walking, it's chaotic. All right. Then he said he's going to go back down and go into Ligani. Then he came back. He said that block.
Everyone's block.
Charlemont, where you turn on Charlemont, that block.
And then when he was
at the gate, Hope View was blocked.
GB, so they found ways how to block all the strategic roads.
Yeah,
so you see all the thoroughfare roads, them too?
Yes, those got blocked. That's why I'm saying it was efficient, it was effective.
Okay then.
It was effective. But, you know, the memory of it, for me, I choose to see the goodness that came out of it.
Let me ask you something though, GB. So you would have witnessed 79. There was a gas riot again in 70. There was a gas riot in 79.
79.
86, 85, 86.
I just started teaching
right?
at that time.
And
I was always lucky. I live near school.
Okay. So 79, 85, 86, and 99. Which one to you was the worst?
People in my age group think 86
Okay.
was the worst. I admit at that time. It's quite an adult, but quite sheltered.
Okay.
Not sheltered like...
Yeah, but from certain reality,
yes,
economical reality.
I was blessed like that.
Mm-hmm.
So some things were not going to be bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
99, for me...
Stood out.
Stood out.
Okay.
I know people died in it, but as far as I know, people didn't just see you trying to pull a roadblock and...
Yeah, she tried
No. That's why I said the efficiency, the people did try to pull the roadblock. So after a while you realize, what's the point of pulling here, and then when I get to that stop sign I have to go pull that.
I got you.
So that's why I said it was strategically, yeah.
All right.
Efficient. It was very, very efficient. I'm not recommending it at all.
Right.
Because it did put you off. And
so
I loved school. Even as a teacher, I loved school. I'm on the...
Well, you know what is very good? So the community that we're building with these podcasts,
yes,
right, is a very seasoned community and informed community. So tell me something that because I couldn't find much about the 79 riots. So if you know anything about the 79 riots, as well as the 85...
What do you call a riot?
That's what I know it as. What you say it then? What you call it, GB?
I prefer to call it 79 protests. You know, I'm hearing...
So what you want me here?
It's like Morant Bay Rebellion versus the Morant Bay Uprising.
All right.
No rebellion, it's not an uprising.
She's a history teacher.
So,
and what you want me to call it? 86 what? 85, 86 what?
So what? Protests.
Protests. Gas riots is what you're going to know it
Yeah,
as.
You can know gas riots for 99.
I want them write some comment and tell we do,
right? Tell us.
Yeah, tell us.
Interesting.
In terms of, because those ones, the 99 one was well documented, right? Information was even on New York Times.
We will remember that the technology and the things evolve. Yeah.
So
the evolution.
Yeah, so it also reflected that. So let us talk about what resulted, what came off this now, right? Yeah. So we're going to talk about what came off this, all right?
Well, the Prime Minister...
Wait, we're not going to jump into it. We're going to break down some stuff to our audience first, all right? So the demonstrations led to more than 100 arrests in the corporate area, St. Elizabeth, St. Thomas, Clarendon, St. Catherine, and St. James. The fire brigade had their hands full. Right?
Because we had some who got, excited, who set fire to things.
At least 3 members of the security forces were shot and injured. Several private and public vehicles were set on fire. And again, that's why some of the firemen were, really going to put out a lot of work. And credit to a lot of our firemen who were working tirelessly. If anybody who's watching and your father is a fireman or was a fireman or anybody in this riot, you can give us... with them. Yeah, yes. Talk with them and let us know, right? Several flights and crews into the island were all cancelled, right? And they estimate that at that time in that currency value, that $30 million was lost in the tourism sector, right? I can't imagine how much was lost also in the informal sector. Man who used to sell them goods on streets and everything like that. It's 3 days.
Every sector of society would have been
What affected. Is funny is that, give me your theory on riots not lasting more than 3 days in Jamaica.
You don't want me to answer and say, on the 3rd day he rose again.
GB don't think riots or anything can stop Jamaican active way of living more than 3 days.
No, we just don't. We move too fast, some people think. We get bored.
Tell me where's about the man them? I don't want them. Where's why the man them want to leave, come out of the house after 3 days?
They get bored and they start to realize how miserable wives can be. And the children, and the wives start the children getting on top of our nerves. And this man just sitting there. asking for food. By the way, men eat as much food when they're home like the children.
You say you know that.
And I do say, men, I say that in the poem, men, in a poem I wrote, men are only grown-up boys.
I hear that a lot. Somebody in Portland, I went to this lady who does like natural
But that's why we women
juice
love them.
in Portland, and
That
she said, boy,
was a mother instinct.
it's true. Oh, you have to get Miss GB book. She has a beautiful poem. What's this called again?
Oh,
Your book, your poem.
Oh, to tell you.
She's caught up with emotion. She can't remember the name of her own book. Anyway, I'll put a link there so that you can purchase her book. You know, I always love supporting her because she's one of the hardcore teachers of the past. They don't make them like this anymore. All right, so let me tell you now what the Prime Minister, what ended up,
too hot.
wait, no, what ended up happening, right, was that the Prime Minister consulted his council and they,
and their glory.
right, and then the committee recommendation, and he ended up cutting the 31% in half. So it was still a tax imposed.
Yeah.
But still imposed. Still 15% mash.
And it's a testament to who we are as a people, you know. Because people are saying, remove it. And yet they didn't fight anymore. They cut it in half. You know, because I tell you, there are countries where you must be crazy. We say you're to remove it. Tell us about 50%. Not impressed. It's okay.
True. If you like this format of this podcast, let me know. If you want us to talk about any other outstanding news item, please let me know. All right, so that we can, you know, get the ball rolling and can get different things out of the way in terms of just, you know, revisiting all aspects of Jamaican history. That's really what I want to be doing. All right, so you can go to my website, kareemsquest.com, where you can find these stories and many more stories about even places to visit. And that's really the core of my website still now, like places that you can go in Jamaica and visit and enjoy yourself. So if you're planning a trip, if you plan a trip, GB, and them want, especially for those from the diaspora who want to come back, them can go to Kareem's Quest.
Yep.
Get information.